Business and employment experts everywhere are focusing on getting people to stay in jobs, to show up within a company and be there for the next 10, 15 years, to put in the time in a role or with the organization and provide a service to that organization. That is where they think Gen Z and even millennials needs to focus their time on realizing how to stay in a job. But what if that isn't where our focus needs to be? Think about it. Onboarding and initial coaching of employees, whether they are new to the company or new to a role, hasn't really changed much in the last 50 plus years. It all really centers around the same thing. Sure, maybe it uses, Zoom instead of in-person meetings, or it relies on other sorts of technology. But at the end of the day, it centers around the assumption that the new employee wants security. And so it teaches you and really points to and highlights all of the ways that you show up, check the boxes, and then the organization will provide you this security. Now, honestly, 50, 60 years ago, when jobs truly offered security to people, they may have wanted that and they may have been able to deliver on it, right? But now, people aren't even necessarily looking for that. They're finding their security elsewhere. They can find it in their friends, in their faith, in their own mental and physical health. Employees now have different expectations of their work, not security. And dare I say, higher expectations of it as well. Because now we're looking to our careers, to our employers, to the work that we do on a day to day basis to be at least a portion of our fulfillment. So instead of trying to sell people on this outdated idea that they no longer really want from their work in the first place, this security, let's focus on providing them with what they do want and what their work can deliver: success. Now, it is similar to a healthy lifestyle, so stick with me for a minute. You could tell someone until you are blue in the face that eating kale is the secret to weight loss, right? And if you ate kale every day, you would feel better. Now, that's fine. And I don't think that kale is, known to make people gain weight. It's probably not known to make people feel worse. The problem is that it assumes that the person you're talking to wants to lose weight. And it also assumes that they will just blindly follow that sentiment. But we're more sophisticated than that, right? We know that it's not just a matter of having kale every day. Just like committing to one company for 10 years isn't necessarily going to get you security. You can just open up the news once in a week to see that there are companies laying people off. So we know that that security that was once there is now a myth. And daily kale doesn't necessarily make you feel great, just like having that false sense of security isn't going to make you feel valued. But when you help someone, when you refocus and help them see the pride that they can develop in themselves, when they're making consistent, healthy choices, and they're getting back up when they fall. If they have a day where they didn't make the best decisions around their health, that they can make a switch that same day, the next day. They don't have to stay in that pain. Suddenly, kale just becomes this natural part of the overall health mission. Just like when you learn to be successful, when you put the focus off of the organization, off of sitting in the same role, and put it instead on being successful, that job just becomes a joy to be in. It becomes this fulfilling part of your life. And then those years end up flying by. So staying in your role ends up just being this natural byproduct, just like losing the weight ends up being the natural byproduct of developing yourself and focusing on what's truly important. Now, I have a personal story around this, and I'm not going to go into it for the purposes of this video, but you can go and check out the blog and read the entire thing there. I'm smiling because I went from 100% playing the victim, thinking that all of the opportunities to be successful had been stolen from me to actually creating my own opportunities. But what I want to focus on here, what I want to do today in this video is talk about how do you do that? How do you become successful and make your own opportunities at work? We will dig into each one of these, but if you are taking notes, if you are really on top of these videos and you are learning from them and implementing from them, the three things we're going to talk about today is what a successful person does. And a successful person builds on the skills that they have. They prepare not just for the big game winning shot, but they prepare for every single shot. And successful people share success differently. Now, this is the exact blueprint I followed, and it is an integral part of developing the confidence that you need to lead well. I am teaching how to put all of this into practice and so many more frameworks and strategies to create the confidence you need in the Lead with Confidence Challenge. This challenge is a crash course. I mean, it's 3 days. It is a crash course in becoming the leader you have always wanted to be. And let's be honest, probably the leader you wanted to have too. You will walk away knowing how to lead, not just at work, not just if you supervise people or you have to influence people in your day job, but in your life too. Now, if you want to know how to join, how to register for the Lead with Confidence Challenge, I want to encourage you to look at the links in the notes and check that out. You can get all of the details there. But for now, though, for today, let's get into what differentiates successful people from everybody else. Okay, so let's dig into number one. Successful people build on the skills that they have. Successful people understand the value of what they do on a daily basis. Don't take that lightly, right? You wouldn't find a successful person moping around saying how they just set up meetings or that they are just sending out emails all day. It doesn't matter what level you are in an organization or what your fancy title is or isn't. To be successful, you understand the worth and the value of the work that you do now. They know that rather than, setting up the meetings, they're facilitating environments for problem solving. That's how they would speak about it. Not setting up a meeting, facilitating environments for problem solving. They know that they aren't just sending out those emails, they're supporting their team in the most efficient way possible. So it isn't always that the work they're doing is different, right? That work might be just the same as all of their peers. But the way successful people think about work is different. Successful people are able to link the work they're doing to the bigger picture. When you understand the meeting and the setting is going to prevent groupthink, you can allow for problem solving and give people a voice in the final decision, you're going to enter that meeting differently, right? It's not just that you set up the time and got everybody together. You really understand why what you're doing is going to matter. Preventing that groupthink, allowing for spontaneous problem solving, all of those things are incredibly important. So, a successful person knows that it isn't just a meeting. You created an opportunity to create the best results. Think about that. That's an entirely different mindset. That's an entirely different way to look at the work that you're doing. And a successful person is going to build those skills on that. So if you are an executive assistant, you don't have the most exciting title in the world, maybe, but you are really the foundation of what makes things work. And then you can build your skills on there to take you exactly where you want to go, whether that's moving up in title or rank, or just being the dang best executive assistant you can possibly be. Now, successful people, number two, successful people also prepare for every shot that they get. Successful people know that there is never one make or break situation, right? It is a culmination of different things. I don't know that anyone could say it better than Alex Hermosi. He says that it's not one silver bullet, it is a million golden BBs. You use every shot that you have as a means to keep peppering your great work. So, one client I worked with was worried that his shot was blown when it didn't go exactly the way that he hoped. He just sort of in passing ran into a senior leader, and that leader had asked him what he was working on. And between his nervousness and the limited experience that he didn't really share his skills very well. He said things like, "Oh, I'm just taking notes in meetings so the big guys can make decisions," just completely belittling his work. So the senior leader asked specifically about one project that was of particular interest to him, and he was really frustrated with himself after the fact because he had been working on this for months and making a really big impact, but he called it just another process. Fortunately, this client turned the ship, right? We discussed it, we looked at what he was actually doing and why this specific leader would particularly be interested in this process. And this client of mine decided to make a point of learning his elevator pitch, learning what he wanted to say in those short little time bites about this project in particular, so that when they met again, notice the shift in thoughts. When they met again, the first BB, didn't go as far as he wanted it to, but he could make the rest of those BBs go even further. He wasn't relying on just that one bullet. It wasn't this one make or break happenstance communication with the senior leader in the hallway. He could go further and further with each consecutive shot. Now, number three, successful people also share their success differently. They communicate about it very differently. Successful people aren't looking for credit, they expect success to happen. So, similar to that last client I was just telling you about, he expected to run into this senior leader again, right? So, they don't need to point out necessarily that they had success. It gets to just be this byproduct. This byproduct, like the healthy lifestyle, like longevity in your role turns out to be. They are objective about what went well, so they never have to dwell on how they made it happen. When you expect success as a natural byproduct of living out who you are, it is much easier to point out what went well and who else made it happen, right? Sharing it with the other people who were involved as well. Okay, that was a lot of words. So let me give you an example. Imagine Molly and Jim were offering flex time to their teams just for exceeding monthly KPIs. So they were setting up this incentive program, right? So we have Molly on the one hand and Jim on the other hand. They both offer this flex time idea to their teams for exceeding the monthly KPI. The next month, both teams did it, right? Both teams exceeded their metrics. It's fantastic. So Jim goes and tells his boss everything he did to raise the numbers and then offers to teach other supervisors how to run the same type of incentive policy to get results. Not bad, right? He did what he set out to do, but he was so excited by the fact that he saw success that he rushed out to tell his boss exactly what happened and wanted everyone to know exactly what he did. So that's someone who saw some success, but certainly wasn't expecting it, certainly wasn't just seeing it as a natural byproduct. He needed to capitalize on that one shot, right? Okay, so that's Molly, on the other hand, the other supervisor that we saw. She sends out a team wide congratulations when she sees that they've exceeded their KPIs. So she sends it to everybody who earned the incentive and then puts a CC to her boss on it. The boss gets to be part of the celebration, and the team gets to be recognized by multiple levels of leadership. Molly wasn't surprised that her plan worked. And she didn't need to make it about her. So she didn't need to explain it to her boss. This wasn't some one off shot, right? Molly, the successful supervisor in this circumstance, assumed she'd have success. And she leveraged it as one more opportunity, one more of those golden BBs to practice her communication skills and share the success with everyone. The best thing about all of this, about all three of these things, is that you don't have to be a natural born Molly to be a successful leader. Just like you don't have to have had kale for the last 10 years in order to be healthy, right? You just have to start doing things different today. You just have to start doing things differently. Leading yourself to be the successful person you want to be simply starts with action. Taking the right action today means you could be a completely different person in 6 months. You know these people, right? You have seen them where it seems like everything they touch just works out. You want them involved in every project and every decision because they just have this golden touch. Well, that person could be you. On February 18th through the 20th, for 1 hour each morning, I'm teaching you what actions to take to get you there. You'll have daily homework, and don't get overwhelmed by that. It is a chance to implement what you're learning to start seeing progress now. Start seeing success immediately. If you are serious about becoming the most successful version of yourself, start preparing now for every shot. So, in a few short days, like I said, the 18th through the 20th, I am challenging you to do just that in the Lead with Confidence Challenge. If you wanted to learn to lead, but felt like you didn't have the title or the clout to get anyone to listen, this challenge is made specifically for you, my friend. If you're sick of taking a back seat and waiting for your opportunities to happen, you need to check this out. Okay, go below, find the links to the blog if you want to hear my personal story, and find the links to the Lead with Confidence challenge so that you can get all of the details on what that could look like for you and you could start doing something differently